All right. Cool. And we're live from New York.
Yeah, you did that before.
Yeah. I was not done talking about islands, I have to say.
Oh, sweet. That's an excellent segue. You can tell people to listen to Danny's episode first. And
They
then
absolutely have to. They
he's
should
the
go
prequel,
back.
or we're the sequel. Either way, there's a cool, and it's happening.
The only problem is, I was thinking, we're talking about islands where there's conflict, and different islands that are deserted islands or desert islands, or are they a paradise, or they're completely absent of any life. But I was obsessed. I fell down a deep, deep rabbit hole looking at the most beautiful islands, or atolls, which are like these little rings of coral, which are paradises that, in my mind at least, are most famous for nuclear testing.
Yes. And all of them are named after fun things. Bikini Atoll and Christmas Island Atoll, the second. Because we, on my excellent podcast, The Talking Ass, find it everywhere, blah, blah,
That's
blah.
where I learned they call it Kisimas.
Yes, we did Kiritimati, which is just an accent variation of the word Christmas. And so there are two Christmas islands, a famous one and a less famous one. And the second, the less famous one, Christmas, the atoll, not the island, was a nuke test site as well. And so was Bikini. All these fun, amazing paradises, they drop nukes in all of them. What's going on?
The best part.
There's too much beauty in this world, you see. And you got to dial it down a little bit.
Yes.
Do you know why? Like, yes, it's funny that the atoll is named after Christmas, but it's not actually the atoll that's named after Bikini. It's the Bikini was named after Bikini Atoll. Did you know this?
Because the nuclear...
No.
Is it because the nuclear bomb just tore off the rest of people's clothes, and they were just left with a modesty covering strap?
It was a very modestly dressed nation, the Bikini Atoll. And then we showed up and everyone was half naked. Boom.
No, honestly, the opposite. Like the Marshallese people, so this is in the Marshall Islands, the Marshallese people, they had a very different attitude towards female upper body nudity that the Western world does. So there was no bikini, right? Like men and women in this island, in this atoll, would not wear covering in the top half of their body. And so what's wild about the origin of the name? Okay, there are two things. Sorry, there are two aspects to this. One is the fact that the name Bikini for Bikini Atoll is just a kind of anglicization of the Marshallese word bikini, which was the name of the island originally, which is actually split into pik and ni, which means so pik means like a flat surface, and ni means coconut. So it's the surface of coconuts is what bikini means. But the other aspect, and the reason why it's associated with the bikini swimwear, is purely because of the atomic test. Because there was this weird trend happening in Europe after World War II where strangely French people didn't want to hang out on beaches a lot. I can't imagine why. But there were all of these efforts to try to like get people, to go to the beach more and try to encourage like new fashion for going to the beach. So there was this dude in 1946, a Parisian dude, who invented a two-piece swimsuit that was exceptionally small, and he called it the Atom because he was, trying to get aboard the hype of, atomic post-war whatever. And 4 days after the testing in Bikini Atoll, another Frenchman decided he wanted to make an even smaller even more scandalous two-piece swimsuit that covered even less, and he named it the bikini after the test.
Smaller than an atom.
Mm. Always the
Mind-blowing.
suspicious Frenchman. I'm impressed. Can I apologize to you right away? Also, you didn't give us a heads up, so it's really your fault, Kovi. But we just did a little bonus episode on my show because Benjamin had emailed into the show this awesome story about this island that I hadn't heard before, and loved it. And we do a lot of island stuff, mainly boring geopolitical examinations, but also some fun stuff. And I didn't know, Kovi, that you had this in the bank, because this would have, fit in.
I tried to. I'm so sorry. I tried to get it in, and then we were wrapping up on the episode on your fantastic show, The Talking Us, and I couldn't quite get this in before we hit stop.
Well, as long as we have a record of it here, I love it. If anyone enjoys more island talk, we do one every once in a while. Send them into these boys, because these boys can look into the science of it all. I look into whatever is either interesting or funny about them. But yeah,
I love it. This was just like quite a rabbit hole I went down. So I guess I should thank you for suggesting that we do this episode and sending me down this weird rabbit hole.
Weird rabbit hole.
Well,
but a good one.
The thing is, I think it's there's a reason for why this stuff is right now. Why I've ended up doing lots of islands on the show, and why, because one thing is they're all the time on the news, because the world is going where it's going, and we don't have to get into that. But they seem to be more and more important. And the other thing is, when the world goes a bit bad or depressing, islands are this like romantic notion in our minds. Like, if I could only escape to somewhere, surrounded by coconuts. But as you just said, Kovi, everyone we've looked into so far, the rule is the prettier the place and the more paradise-like, the more messed up stuff big empires or superpowers have done, or the more messed up the wars have been fought there. So it might not be true that they're paradises.
I mean, yeah, it's a serious issue. Like the both in the Marshall Islands from the nuclear testing that was happening in the, as I said, late 40s and early 50s, and then in Tahiti where there were French nuclear tests happening as late as the 80s. The ongoing radiation impacts on both the marine life and whatever human population was nearby is still ongoing. So yeah, I don't know why we were so keen to just bomb the heck out of any place that's so nice. It's a shame.
Yeah, it really is. Scientifically speaking, though, how strong are you guys on nuclear chemistry? Because every time it comes up, I always wonder, how long does it take for it? Like, is it still, wherever they blew up atomic bombs, is it still uninhabitable, or what's happening?
There's
In
a lot
terms
of
of
places where there's been nuclear accidents and nuclear explosions you can visit, like the Trinity site where the very first atomic bomb test happened. You can go there. I think once a year they open it up. There's a sculpture there. You can go over to it, take a picture with it, wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and just that's the Trinity site. But there's other sites where there's far worse atomic radiation. You can still visit. You can still go to Chernobyl. You can visit the town outside. I wouldn't go now since the lovely conflict has cracked the dome over Chernobyl. But up until recently, you're able to go to Chernobyl and take pictures, and lots of scientists have been going and do lots of studies.
The town right outside, depending on which side you are, obviously, because wind had a massive effect on the fallout. Science, I know science. Pripyat, which was directly downwind from the, I think that's still restricted. You're not, like, a bunch of YouTube people go there without permission, but it's still extremely restricted. Some journalists every once in a while go in and film. There's still, and what's really bad is obviously under the dome. the thing they constructed to contain it is what's called the elephant's foot or mammoth's foot or whatever you call it. So I suppose it depends on what material melts down, right? How long the half life or the diffusion time is.
Yeah, I think diffusion is really the key word, because the half life for a particular nuclear compound will be the same. Like, same compound in any location, right? Technically has the same half life, but it's about the ability for that bad nuclear stuff to diffuse. So if you're talking about the Trinity test, which was like in the desert somewhere, right? That blast, it'll do whatever it does to that top layer of dry soil, but it's not seeping into the soil or into the groundwater like you have, in places like the Bikini Atoll. Well, not groundwater, just water, ocean. But yeah, like, I think in both Pripyat and in Chernobyl itself, from what I understand, you had the actual, like, subsurface layers of soil and groundwater both getting exposed to radiation, and so the diffusion process takes a lot longer.
Yep. Yeah. Are you guys prepared for me to? I know I requested to, as a representative of the normalos and the non-scientific dum-dums. I'm sure you have some other such listeners as well. You were my nearest and dearest source for information about some confusing aspects of. We're going to the moon again. Yes.
Yes.
Can you tell me why it took so long? And I'm particularly interested in is there any scientific reasons for this? Because we can chit chat a little bit about end of Cold War and all that. I have some takes on that, but scientifically, has there been any reason why we haven't gone back?
I think it's mostly financial. The race, they call it the space race for a reason. We're trying to beat somebody, and then we did. And okay, job done. Well done, everybody. We made it. We made it a few times. We were back, and then it started kind of falling out of favor for spending all this money to go to the moon, and also you have a big war ramping up, and the Soviets were trying to get to the moon as well. They had something called the N1 rocket, and they tried to launch it twice, and the thing exploded spectacularly both times. And so there was just that was it. They gave up. There was really no need to pursue. They couldn't afford it anymore. We probably could have afforded it, but we had, like I mentioned, the wars going on. It's quickly falling out of public favor. So the consensus was to redirect our efforts into more low Earth orbit type of programs. And so instead of, we still had a whole bunch of Saturn V rockets left, and we're not going to use them to go to the moon anymore, but we could use them to build a Skylab. We could use them to. There was the final Apollo flight was the Apollo Soyuz flight, where Russia launched the Soyuz capsule. We launched our last Apollo capsule, and they docked together. This big symbol of international friendship in space. And so the space race it's over. It's clear who the winner is, but also the end result, space is for everybody. And so they started working on building this new thing that was coming up, which was a space shuttle at the time. They were thinking about it towards the end of Apollo, building a reusable plane. And so the space shuttle came, and the space shuttle was used to build the International Space Station. That's been a long time. And they started, there's been some, efforts in the government to get us back to the moon several times. But nothing really, took hold until recently.
I think if I can add to that, sorry. Just adding to that, I think like all correct. I think in addition to a changing of political motivations, what wins the government, the U.S. government, who's funding most of these efforts, what they were after, and the financial considerations, which were also huge. Not to mention, other geopolitical focuses, let's say, that the US government may have had in the late 80s and early 90s. There was also this element of the advancement of modern medicine and our understanding of radiation, as we were talking about a moment ago. And I think that one of the key aspects of projects like Skylab and the Space Shuttle and the International Space Station was to really more deeply understand the effects of spaceflight on the human body, and how, okay, if we are going to go back to the moon eventually, because once you've gotten there once, you can go back again, but you want to go back for longer periods of time. And then before you do that, you need to have a better idea of how everything works there. How does the circulatory system function when it's in low gravity conditions for an extended period of time? What's the radiation going to be like? How is that going to impact male and female astronauts differently, for example? And then there's all the logistical side of it. Of if you're trying to do this for a longer period, how can we do it better? So I think a lot of the efforts of NASA, of the European Space Agency, ESA, the Japanese one, JAXA, Roscosmos from Russia, they have all been focused on kind of the surrounding rather than just, okay, cool, we've gotten there, we've planted a flag,
Yeah.
So it's mainly the reason is political. And of course, once the Soviet Union collapsed, we all know the Cold War didn't end there, and it's still going on in many ways. But we know that the support for having, like, what was it, like 5% of the federal budget was going into the space race. It was something crazy.
Yeah.
But in modern money, like, that would be a
It
crazy
was a
amount
large
of
chunk
money.
of change. It was, I think, close to
Yeah.
5%, I think, of the federal budget going to,
And of
to
course,
NASA trying to get us to the moon.
yeah.
Now it's like 0.5%. It's
Yeah,
literally
1/10, yeah.
nothing. And yet, because
Yeah.
NASA they put on the biggest show for their funding dollar. Whenever there's talk of budget cuts, everyone says, "Well, we got to cut NASA," but really, you're aiming at the wrong place. Just don't build one plane, and you've balanced that budget.
Okay. Okay, so I get that. All right, I suppose I framed the question wrong. It's fairly obvious why the space programs were, brought down from from these astronomical heights. Yeah, yeah, you see
pun
the pun
intended.
there. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we couldn't have such a budget and whatever. The Soviet Union collapsed. But going back now, is it just because suddenly there is a new arms race? The missile treaty expired yesterday or 2 days ago or whenever, and now there's the rise of China. Please tell me that this isn't just a new race to go there for no reason, or is there seriously a scientific reason for going there now? Then
I think there is a scientific reason to going there. Blue Origin has been doing all their little celebrity / billionaire launches that we've all been watching. Well, I've been watching, and it's kind of annoying watching these launches. But when you think about what's happening with these launches, they're sending people into space technically, and then bringing them back down 15 minutes later, and they're using a fuel that can be made out of lunar regolith. So in theory, if you land on the moon and you're able to make more fuel with what's there, and in that sense, that's a good reason to go back to the moon, because now we don't have to bring all the gas with us. We can make some there in theory. Also, going to the moon, it's a little politically, charged, of course. But this new Artemis program has been in the works since the 2010s. Um, there's been all sorts of very sluggish steps forward in developing a better rocket, a better capsule, whatever. In comparison, the to the Apollo capsule, the Orion capsule, Orion. It's only slightly bigger, and it's actually lighter, and the heat shield is only a teensy bit wider. It's the technology is basically the same, but
If
the idea to go back now has it's the first steps of a much larger program called the Gateway program. They want to go to the moon, and they want to not necessarily set up a station there, but kind of, and that's going to be the launching off point to go to Mars. We're going to go to the moon, establish some sort of a presence where you can kind of go, you can kind of refuel, and then you can continue on the next part of the next leg of the journey to
yeah,
Mars and then back. It's a large. It's the first few steps of a much larger project, which I really hope happens.
I think to the question that Danny was asking was, at least the way I interpreted it, was not, not as much, what are the differences in technology, but I guess more the last part you were focusing on is like, what do we get out of it from a scientific perspective, right? And in my mind, yes, I do think a big part of going back to the moon will be the benefits that we get from all future space exploration being able to be launched in a more efficient way, right? To create a base on the moon from whence we can launch other missions into deep space, because basically the majority of the fuel and energy cost and mass cost and financial cost of launching anything into space, regardless of the destination, is the effort just to get it out of the pool of Earth's gravity, just to get it outside of our atmosphere, right? Once you're in space, the amount of fuel that you have to use is a lot less, right? Once you've accelerated up to that speed. And so because of the weaker gravity on the moon, it's actually relatively a lot easier and requires a lot less fuel, a lot less mass, a lot less cost to launch something from the moon. So I think in that sense, it's scientifically interesting. But there's a whole other aspect that we haven't even spoken about, which is the idea of learning how to do things in space has always and will always teach us how to do things better here on Earth, right? If we
Sure.
talk about, if we can think about, like examples like Velcro, like, oh, Velcro is great. Sure. It's not really like changing our lives here on Earth, but that was invented for space. One great example is the fact that the water on the International Space Station, because of the mass cost of sending water to the space station, they recycle their own urine and they get water that is purer than the water that most people in the world drink on a daily basis. They say yesterday's coffee is today's coffee. And so by just giving those examples, right, when we are trying to build something on the moon, especially if you want it to sustain humans for an extended period of time, we will have to solve a bunch of problems regarding survival that will have incredible implications for life on Earth. And so I think scientifically, in that sense, it would be incredibly beneficial.
Is it
Yeah.
any safer than it was now? So what about, like, part of the loss of public support was just that the dangers weren't justifiable anymore when the space race ended. So is it any safer now to go to the moon? What are the odds of making it?
I don't think it's any safer. I mean, maybe it was never a cakewalk to go to the moon, and it still isn't. Anything can happen, and the astronauts that go aboard are fully aware that anything can happen. Um, so I don't know if it's necessarily safer. I believe that the fail safes are better,
Mm-hmm.
but still, you know, there's still it's still just a very big, you know, bomb that you're sitting on top of and you're trying to control it just long enough to get you into space.
I can't remember if it was Garrett Reisman or if it was a different NASA astronaut who I spoke to who made that exact comparison. It was like, sitting on the launch pad and you're basically strapped to a giant bomb
Mm-hmm.
that was built by, the contractor who put in the cheapest quote, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And definitely, like we saw some of the failures happening in the shuttle program that definitely led to a lot of concerns about the riskiness and whether it was worth it. As Benjamin said, if the Cold War has ended, right? maybe the same motivations aren't there. But I would agree that the fail-safes are better. I also think that the privatization of the space industry, for all of the negative aspects that we can discuss, the fact that you have multiple companies who are all competing for NASA contracts, and then the ones that are winning, again, putting aside personal feelings about Elon Musk, right? We can look at SpaceX and we can say, not only have they won the contracts because of the financial incentives, but they have this proven record of being able to do things safely and repeatedly, right? Yeah. So I would argue in some ways that it is safer because of those financial incentives that were put in place. In other words, like so to speak, free market capitalism has led to a healthy competition that is producing safer alternatives.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, no matter what you may think of Elon Musk and Richard Branson, at least there are no more Nazis in charge of all this, right? Because those are the people who sent us to the moon in the first place. Yes, no, maybe.
I mean, they took off the uniform, so they're no longer Nazis, right? And they were all brought over to the US en masse. There was, some might say, tongue-in-cheek, that there was an exodus of Nazis from Germany to the US in Operation Paperclip, and they did a great job of giving America a leg up for the space race.
Yeah. There's a good joke in the movie The Right Stuff. I watched that movie a bunch of times with my dad because he was big airplane nut, space race nut, and there's a great line in there that said, "Our Germans are better than their Germans." Yeah, that's where I first learned about how we got a lot of our engineers. My dad had to explain to me, like, "Oh, got it."
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that Elon Musk has recently finally kind of switched gears. He's been saying, we're aiming for Mars for like a decade. And I think it's like just in the last week or so, he's finally said that like SpaceX's focus is shifting to the moon.
Yep.
Right? Because any technology that you want to have working on Mars, you need to perfect it on the moon. If you want to test out some habitat that you're building on a place with no atmosphere and low gravity, are you going to build that somewhere that takes 2 years to fly there if you have the right orbital window aligned, and then it takes 20 minutes to send a signal to tell someone, hey, this is broken and everyone's dying? Or are you going to build it somewhere that's a 2-day flight away that you have near instantaneous, with a 1-second delay communication to, test it on the moon, and then once you've figured stuff out, then ship it to Mars?
They can communicate with a 1-second lag to the moon? Our podcasting software can't even do that. We're in 3 different time zones, and I miss half of it.
Actually, I think the fact that we're in 3 different time zones and we're having these little micro delays, I bet you that's pretty close to what it would be like to communicating with a moon base from Earth. Yeah, I think this is pretty close because we have to go around the planet several times.
Yeah.
Blowing his mind.
I accept everything that has been said. I have a clarifying question. You said about this way station on the moon being massively beneficial for space exploration because it takes obviously way less energy to get out of the moon. So that means there won't be any humans involved. Or is the point that they will just not live on Earth? Because for the only way that is more efficient in any way is that they don't return and then leave again from Earth. They never come home. For that way station to be efficient, that's their home. That's where they're returning to. Or is it just machines and AI we're talking about?
I hope it's not machines and AI, because they have absolutely no reason. Well, maybe because it's colder on the moon, so their machines won't overheat when they do massive amounts of raw computing. But I don't think it'll be a permanent residence for maybe one day in the future. But I don't think a moon base in the near future would be a place best suited for someone who just stays there. I think it'll be you can leave from Earth, go to the moon, and wait your turn to go to Mars, come back, and then the next person will go behind you, and it'd be like a cycle. I don't think anybody goes to the airport and just stays there. That's kind of what this
Yeah,
is going to be.
it's like the International Space Station. They have people who, cruise shift on and off. They have, resupply missions that always make sure the supplies are, stacked conservatively, such that if one resupply mission fails for some reason, they still have enough food until the next one comes. I assume that's probably what they will aim for. With that said, I think it's a fair point that a lot of people have been bringing up, including what's his name? So Martin Rees is like a famous a British astronomer. He made a point, or he's kind of been on this hobby horse the past few years of saying that exploration of space, at a certain point, the cost benefit of sending humans, maybe it doesn't actually make sense to take that risk. And so I do imagine that there'll be an examination of automating everything that can be automated, because it's not worth having, like a human being do the refueling or whatever it is, right? But there are always going to be certain tasks that require the dexterity, and not just dexterity, but intuition of human thinking.
Yeah. Of course.
Not
no,
just
I
that.
accept
There's
that.
always the who knows what we're going to find thing. You have to go.
Of course.
You have to go. That's the whole point. It's ingrained in all of us.
Somebody who's human's got to be up there verifying that the AI isn't just hallucinating. Like, hey, I saw another planet with a train station. Somebody's got to be up there that no, calm down. The AI meant it's a planet that could be a way station or something like that, right? We got to have a human. But my argument still stands, is that for the fuel efficiency and the cost of the programs, unless the moon bases having people up there who are staying there long enough to miss several of these shuttles, then we're not saving any fuel if they have to be shuttled home from there. You see what I mean?
Well,
like,
I'm sure in time
it would
it's
have
going
to be
be
long.
I would assume that if the idea, right, the idea is that you want to be able to launch a rocket into space, which requires from Earth, which requires a lot of fuel, and then have some mechanism by which to refuel it in space before sending it somewhere like Mars, right? So I would imagine that the additional weight, if you're shipping, thousands of kilos of fuel and you're sending that to the moon, if the moon being that place where the refueling happens, the addition of a couple hundred extra kilos on top of that for the human and whatever supplies they need is relatively minor compared to the gross weight of the rest of the fuel that's going there. If that makes sense. Again, the smarter people than me will be working on this exact question.
Yeah. No, I see that, and obviously, we're assuming a bunch, so a hell of a lot of the fuel will be living up there on the moon. What fuel are we talking, by the way? Is this, like, I'm assuming to get to Mars we need a nuclear reactor of some sort? Are we going there with diesel? What's the
biodiesel? Yeah.
I think the really interesting thing that I should clarify, and that Benjamin's friend from Blue Origin, formerly of Blue Origin, has mentioned on the show a few times. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Demos Katsis. So what he mentioned was that SpaceX, if you're looking at SpaceX rockets, the type of fuel that they use is a liquid oxygen fuel that is produced on Earth, and it's super efficient for doing what they do. And the Blue Origin flights, which we can kind of poke a little bit of fun at, they use a completely different fuel that is less efficient for launching things from Earth. However, that fuel can theoretically be produced just from the lunar regolith, just from the dirt on the moon, right? So hypothetically, if you're talking about a facility, a refueling facility that's run by Blue Origin, they would only have to send up the supplies that they need to keep the mining operation going in order to create their fuel on site, whereas SpaceX would be sending up liquid oxygen type fuel from Earth.
Right.
I see. Exciting.
Yeah.
If I'm very excited to see what the conspiracy dum-dums of the internet, how they will react if this Artemis stuff is successful. By what year is it meant to be successful?
To go to the moon or to land on the moon?
Well, I want to see boots on the moon, as the saying goes.
Supposedly 2030, I believe.
Yeah. By the end of the decade, you should
Yeah.
see.
This year, next month, in March, it's been pushed to March. It's going to be the first flyby of the moon. They're going to leave the Earth. They're going to go over to the moon, go around it one time, and come back. And after that, then they're going to go and do prolonged stays or in orbit around the moon, and start bringing progressively heavier and heavier spacecraft with them to simulate having to carry a lander, having to carry all that extra supplies like we just been talking about, air and food and such. And then, pick a place to land and give it a whirl. It's gonna be 2030, from my understanding, in like 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Hopefully, someone
Hmm.
be walking on the moon.
I hope it goes better than that other country that had a vision for 2030 about transforming various things. Do you know about this?
Don't think so.
Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, right.
Vision 2030, all these mega projects now, apparently they're now all down the gutter. So yeah, hopefully it goes better than that.
Whatever happened to that giant, mirror building that was meant to cut through the desert?
Is that still
Neon.
happening?
Failed? Yeah.
If you want me to break into this, you're a hard sciences podcast, but I got the blood and oil for you if that's what you want. Which is a fantastic book about this by a couple of Washington Post journalists. Really good book about the rise of MBS and the vision for Saudi Arabia's future without oil, and all the ruthlessness that happened on the way. Available on Audible as an audiobook, with a great narrator as well, like a podcast, almost as if one of us was narrating, right?
Almost.
Is it you? Did you narrate this audiobook, Danny?
It's you could believe that it were me, because slightly transatlantic accent and exceptional pronunciation of the Arabic names and concepts in the yeah, if someone argued it,
I'm going to pretend
me,
it's you.
I'd believe. Yeah, it's really good. Anyway, yes, about Neom, the mega project. This is science adjacent because, of course, he is. The original vision was to have flying cars and to be energy self-sufficient in the desert, which was always highly likely, right? All kinds of science adjacent pipe dreams went into this. And of course, I mean, long story short, what happened is that the plan was to, through sports washing and other kinds of reputation washing, by buying up everything in the West, much as other Gulf countries have done, Qatar and the Emirates and so forth. From soccer clubs to golf leagues to Formula One to everything, was to clean the reputation of Saudi Arabia enough so that foreigners would be interested in both investing and even living there. Now, what ended up happening is that, of course, the reforms are surface level only, like women can drive and all that. That was all just tactics. At the end of the day, it's still run by a family with an army, and now increasingly by one man who has consolidated power by sidelining his uncles and brothers and cousins and everybody. So, the long story short, what actually happened with Neom and Vision 2030 and all that is that in the end, all our bankers, politicians, consultants, everybody from the West went in for the massive Saudi gold rush, took
Mhm.
the money from MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, and used them as a cash cow to fund all kinds of ventures from WeWork and other disasters in America, all the way to whatever successful things like Tesla and whatever. So everyone just took the Saudi oil money, and in the end, it's way too risky of a place still for anyone to invest from the West, because we have due diligence when we go in with our corporations can't take risks in a place where there is no legal system. One man decides what's legal and what isn't, and all manner of other issues. And it's not even that secure, because their oil fields were attacked a few years ago by a ragtag Iranian supported little group of terrorists. So yeah. Anyway, so hopefully Artemis is not our version of that. Of that, that's because 2030 sounds early for a program that a casual observer of the news like me has heard about for the first time maybe a year ago.
Of the Artemis program?
Yeah, yeah.
It's been going on for a very long time. It even had the name Artemis back in like 2017, something.
Yeah.
It's been in the works for a good long time. Lots of testing, but yeah, now it's finally made that cover of Time magazine, so everybody knows about it all of a sudden. And I think it'll make it. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it might happen in a slightly different way to what they're planning or what they're describing now. Like they have, from Artemis 2 up to Artemis 10 planned out in vague terms. I think we'll see the shape of the specifics change a little bit over the years, but I'm confident that
we had like Apollo mission number 20 planned out. We even had a crew and a goal in mind of what they're going to do. I mean, that's how NASA works. They don't say, well, we need one more. Quick, get somebody. They plan these things out. Even if it's not going to happen, they plan it out for a good long while. So I'm sure.
Are they going to bring golf clubs this time, you think?
I really hope so. When Alan Shepard hit the golf ball on the moon, it was fantastic. Come on. You're sending people. You want to see people doing people things and doing silly things and or heroic things, not just walking around picking up rocks and saying it's a gray rock. You want to see that cool stuff. I hope someone brings a baseball and not a football, because football stinks.
2030 is an interesting number as a year, because I suppose our lovely American listeners, we're not going to pick teams, but let's just say our dear leader, our great friend, the man in the White House, does like to do dramatic things like this when he's in charge for his legacy. Yep. And 2030, based on my understanding of your political system, he won't be. So if we were to bet money on a new landing of the moon, you would go during this term. So 2029, right?
Well, the last time we started the Apollo program and all the missions leading up to the Apollo program, we switched presidents a few times, catastrophically and normally. We had the very first steps, a 15-minute flight into space. Then we had the first orbital flights, and then we had the first docking flights, and then it took a long time, and that was about 10 years from start to the moon. So and it was not just 10 years, it was a few presidencies. So I don't think if we get the machinery and the people to get to the moon and back once or twice before the current administration is over, I don't think that's suddenly going to stop. I think is at the very least it's going to take some winding down, and so they're going to keep going until they either run out of rockets or run out of funding for the specific program, or who knows. It also depends what the next administration says. I do agree that this current administration likes the big spectacle and likes the big wins and likes the big showy performances. So I say what you will about the administration, it's actually kind of good for NASA.
Well, in that case, you'll be pleased to hear that the Las Vegas odds of the current administration winning a third term have recently shot up from 10-1 to 6-1.
What?
It takes a constitutional amendment.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah. For
I think it'll happen.
yeah, I apologize for bringing Politics Corner to your show. For any more Politics Corner, everyone just follow the link to my show from the description.
Yes.
We can go back to Science Corner. I'm happy to, but it is interesting just for this Artemis story. The timing is that was curious, I'd say. The year,
Indeed.
you know. Kovi, hit us with some science, please. What are we doing the first thing when they land? Are they grabbing more rocks? What are we bringing back first trip?
Well, I think if they send Katy Perry, the first thing that they do when they land is going to be to kiss the lunar regolith. But if they don't do that, I assume that the first thing they do will still be to grab a sample of the soil, to take measurements of the different chemical components of the soil or regolith, and then possibly to start checking radiation levels and measuring. What's weird is that the moon doesn't quite have a magnetic field the way that Earth does, that protects us from radiation. But some of the stones, big boulders and areas, do have magnetic fields frozen into them. So I imagine that these would be some of the first scientific experiments done.
Cool.
Also, we're targeting going to the poles of the moon, the parts of the moon that are most constantly in shadow, and some of them are in permanent shadow. Yeah, and I'm looking for ice, water ice. So there's supposedly a lot of water frozen, just straight up H2O frozen in ice on the moon at the poles. So speaking of having to the point of people living on the moon, that is a huge key to making people have an established presence there, because there's water.
How much, like a lake's worth or a pond's worth or a puddle?
Like one of those larger Gatorade bottles, like 2 of those.
No, but seriously though, they have theories that there may be lots of it, but how much have we actually observed on the moon, water-wise?
We don't know, but I believe there's a couple, well, depending on your definition of how big a lake is. There's a lake of water on Mars that they found, but it's very, very, very wide, but very, very, very shallow. It's incredibly salinated. But there should be way more than we'd need for at least a small colony of people.
Yeah, I think the specifics are TBD. I think that that's part of the work that's going to be done, is to kind of explore exactly the extent of. It's kind of like not just like whole frozen lakes, but also in the same way that people mining for gold or other metal ores look for veins of that particular metal in the rock. I think there'd be ice veins in the lunar regolith. I think is what the expectation would be.
And to the earlier point, we are actually really good experts at recycling our water. So whatever water is found, we will be using it for a very long time.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Yeah. Yesterday's regolith is tomorrow's coffee.
I think we've reached the point in the show where we're going to switch to asking you questions, Danny, as our guest. And
thank God.
We have a bit
I love talking about myself. This is a secret to any of the people out there who have not created or have not been podcasters or creators. We're all narcissists. We love our own voice, because you have to edit these things. You just have to go, oh my God, there's so much.
Yeah.
What a lovely transatlantic gravitas this man has. Oh, it's me.
I think that's the title of the show, Transatlantic Gravitas.
Yeah.
Great episode name. Yeah, it works. So Benjamin and I had to come up with a whole new set of questions and quibbles because
Because of you,
you're
Danny.
yeah, it's all your fault. Because we already had you on once, and then we asked you questions, and we knew we had to have you on again. So we prepared this list of 11 questions and quibbles. Number 2. Benjamin, do you want to start us off?
Sponsored by the Saudi Vision 2030 Fund.
Sponsored by Saudi Blood Oil. Yeah.
First question. What is your favorite book about science?
Ooh. Oh, I can't say the one we already talked about. Okay. This is a tough one because I always like the ones where the science is so something about Operation Paperclip where science is combined with history. I'm kind of in that space. Purely about science, though, I'll give you one that I liked, but I couldn't get to the end of. It was the book about string theory. Who developed that up again? You guys would know.
Was it Michio Kaku's book?
I was gonna say Michio Kaku. That's the popular one.
Yeah. Couldn't get it. My head is did not understand it. Too abstract. I couldn't get it.
Probably because he's from
got
San
it as a
Francisco,
gift from
like
someone who
weird.
Yeah, got it as a gift from someone who was like, "Oh, he's a smart guy. He'll like this." And then I thought, yeah, but I'm not smart in that way. You know, I'm smart in like.
If it makes you feel better. I mean, the string theorists themselves also gave up halfway, and people have kind of moved on from that theory. So,
yes,
you're ahead of the curve there.
Exactly. And since I've already alienated all my American friends there and other friends, therefore I will go with a really controversial one. My favorite science book. It's gotta be the Charles Darwin one. You know, I get or more of a
The Origin of Species.
Origin of Species.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, I think that one. By the way, he's not right about everything in it. Like it's pretty rough edges, but I don't know. It had that combination of history and colonial exploration meeting like scientific discovery. I think it's cool. Yeah.
And he's also not right about marrying his cousin. So
I was about to say, yeah.
Talking about spreading the genetic code, so and he just centralized it.
All right, next question. What is your favorite science fiction book, TV show, or movie?
See, you guys asked me before about sci-fi, and since then I have gone back and I have found some common ground for us. I'm going with Futurama. They're
nice. My shiny metal ass. Nicely done.
Exactly. Yeah, where I had to find places where my non-sci-fi and fantasy interested boring mafia movie childhood me actually did enjoy a sci-fi show. Futurama was really funny. Yeah.
I think you'd like Solar Opposites if you get that on whatever streaming platform it's on. Solar Opposites, it might be up your alley.
Course, yeah. And does Third Rock from the Sun count?
That does count. 100% that one
past.
counts. I haven't thought of that show in a million years. That's a great one.
I feel like even I Dream of Jeannie would classify as science fiction technically because it's fiction and it's vaguely related to science.
Yeah,
you're stretching.
South Park.
What is your least favorite science book, TV show, or movie?
It's easy. These are easy, and I'm so sorry. But book, I just said it. I couldn't handle the string theory one. I just couldn't get there. But with the movies, I'm sorry, but it is Star Wars. It's just silly to me. I'm so sorry, everyone. Oh, now everyone hates
Even
me.
the old ones. Benjamin's just gone offline. Video has switched off. Oh no.
Wait, no. Hey. Everyone, Star Wars, calm down. Not even top 3. Top 3 is the Matrix movies. Massively overrated. I'll go all 3. Matrix 1, and then Reloaded was even worse, and then whatever the third one was.
Revolutions.
That was,
yeah,
Revolution.
And the fourth one, which also came out, which I didn't even
that
bother
fourth
to
one,
see.
yeah. Enough's enough.
Yeah,
I
the
get
whole
it.
the whole blue pill, red pill thing. Get out of here! Like I'm not that simple. Like, come on.
All right. What else on the topic of things that you think are overrated? Is there a flavor of ice cream that's overrated?
Ooh, I used to think it's mint, and then I grew up. A mint has its place in the world. It's lovely. You gotta go with cheap vanilla. Vanilla is only nice if it's expensive. Cheap vanilla is awful. It tastes of grease.
That is
It's a hot
interesting.
take. I
love vanilla, but you're qualifying which kind of vanilla. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Next one. Name 3 things that you would take with you on a long space voyage to another planet.
I thought you were going to say on a long walk off a short pier, whatever Kovi said on my show once.
Or that.
3. Can they be infinite things? Like I would take an audiobook subscription, so I have every book ever published in my
I'll
ears.
allow that.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, what? 2 more things?
2 more things.
That's all I need, isn't it? Like, I'd bring seafood pasta because I'm like, it'll take a while before we have that at the moon station. Just to, and I'd love to have that romantic moment of looking at the Earth from space, and then having those bugs of the sea, those delicious bugs of the sea, and seeing like, look how far you guys made it, you know.
Into my tummy.
Like a little. Yeah.
I'm just picturing you sitting there in a deck chair on the moon with like a giant paella pan on your lap, just going at it.
Yeah. And
so no third thing.
And can I bring a really interesting person? Do I have to do this alone? The third thing is,
sure.
Can I bring like a polymath? Like, do you guys know Stephen Fry? Or like,
yeah.
I would need someone who's from a different generation, so there's minimal sexual tension, because I'm sure that would come into play after a while up there. And then like just a polymath that can just discuss anything, you know.
Love that. And
All
Stephen
right.
Fry is a great choice.
Yeah. So what did we go up there with?
An infinite audiobook subscription. Yeah.
Some good seafood and someone to talk to. That's actually not bad.
I like it. It's a well thought out.
The annoying thing, the flaw in my reasoning here is that Stephen Fry has narrated about 60% of all British books, at least on Audible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be hearing his voice a lot.
That's true. The audiobook subscription is the guy sitting next to you.
That's great. You can just ask him to like do it from memory, or just any other text you have. Just like, Stephen, would you read this to me while I fall asleep eating my pasta?
Yeah. Oh, lovely.
Well, I guess that kind of answers maybe the next question, which is what is, in your opinion, the best science documentary narrator voice, and can you please do an impression of that right now?
Ooh. Well, I'm not. How many times have people already done David Attenborough on this show?
At least twice.
I think.
All right. Well, then I'm going with Christopher Walken. This is the blue whale.
I think that's the best commit to doing the voice that we've had.
100%. It's also amazing.
Blue.
Was the whale
Way, I
wearing a
like.
watch? Did the whale have a watch?
I don't know.
His watch.
Watch. It's the birthright. But damn, someone's gonna get your watch.
And imagine how long a science documentary would be if he narrated one. We'd be there transfixed for 4 hours. Yeah.
I think you'd get a very, very rigid divide in the audience. People that stick through the whole thing because they love it, or people 5 minutes in like, I just can't.
The whale
right,
swam from Vietnam. I can't do Christopher Walken.
No, it's you've committed, which I respect.
Yeah.
I just love that you tried. All right. We're making the Daniel Orvomaa movie. Who is going to play you?
I've already put the 2 best actors ever on the list. So who's gonna? It's got to be Danny McBride. I think.
Oh, that would be awesome!
But he's a bit old. Like, I don't know who the sort of aggressively irreverent actors of this generation are. Danny McBride, he must be 15 years older than me, though. Or something, yeah. But yeah, that would be great.
I like Danny McBride.
I would be honored, yeah. If he could play the young me and the old me. It could be a whole Benjamin Button scenario.
Love that. All right. Do you remember the first event or experience that you had that sparked some sort of curiosity about science?
Oh yeah. My dear departed one of my grandmothers took me to the science museum, the kids one. I mean, it's kind of interesting for adults too, but in Helsinki there's one where there was the rats playing basketball. That's one I remember. But the really everyone's favorite there, and I think it still is there, is a bicycle on a trapeze, and you can just safely it's weighted so that it just, no matter what speed it's going at, it just cannot fall off the trapeze. And there's no safety equipment, anything. There's a safety net under it, but that's only if people are dumb and they jump off the bike. But it's a bicycle that little kids can just cycle like over this gap between platforms in, elevated like maybe like 15 meters in the air, and they cannot fall. Yeah, and that was interesting to me. Yeah. You should check this out, everyone. It's
Oh, sorry. Go on.
I'm a little bit stuck on Finnish rats playing basketball, which apparently is a thing, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your favorite
the rat
prime
basketball?
number?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Favorite prime number is 13 a prime number?
Yeah.
There you go. Love it. 13 was considered bad luck by many, and some, who believe in that. I always thought it was good luck. That was one of the first jersey numbers I had in ice hockey. So 13.
There you go. 13.
Nice.
You put me on the spot there. I could have said a non-prime number. Would I have been the first one in the history of the show to mess up that badly?
It's a relatively new question, so yes, you would have been the first. Put your face on the on the YouTube.
Yeah.
And we would have rephrased the question. This is the question Danny got wrong. What is your
For all future listeners. Now remember, a prime number. No. If this is maybe a bit more of an open question. So if you had unlimited funding to do a single science experiment or a space mission, what would be your plan, your design?
Oh, It's gotta be the sea. I think going down there, seeing what's down there, but it's just there seems to be just the pressure. Nothing can handle the pressure. So we need to we need to use someone who can handle the pressure. Have we mentioned anyone today? Do we make the shuttle out of a great actor like Christopher Walken or something like that? Uh, Maybe you make it in the shape of a big soccer ball, because that way you can get a Vision 2030 Mohammed bin Salman to fund it, and you have unlimited funds, oil funds, because it will be used as a marketing for Saudi Arabia to get the World Cup or the Olympics or something. That's
But
my plan.
the problem is that the pressure, by the time it gets down there, it'll go from being an advertisement for soccer to being an advertisement for Ultimate Frisbee.
Well, there you go. You've perfected it. That's how we pitch it to the
Advertise
chefs.
two sports at once. I love it.
Amazing. Very cool.
One more question.
That was a great question.
Here we go.
That was a really difficult question, by the way. What have other people said?
Nothing as good as you.
Nothing's good as you. No.
I'm happy.
What is the one song that when it comes on, you cannot help but turn it up louder and sing along?
There's several. I was on a podcast discussing metal music a few years ago, and concluded that, as overplayed as it is, Enter Sandman by Metallica, there's something about it, you just cannot turn it off. The production, especially, they made those drums like addictive. From a drummer who wasn't particularly known as a great drummer to that point, but something about it is that, I mean, by the first chorus, once you've heard it a million times, you're gonna zoom out. But the intro and when the song starts, it's really hard to turn off. Yeah, there are many, but to sing along to, "Fortunate Son" by CCR, I could never not sing.
That's a good one.
Will you get a copyright strike if I try to do a John Fogerty on the mic here? I would never. Some folks are born. I can't do that.
How about Christopher Walken doing John Fogerty? How about that?
Oh, no.
And finish.
No.
Some folks, what?
With a silver watch.
I ain't no president's son.
The silver watch was up his talking ass.
Coming full circle.
Yeah. I think the rapid fire round you guys do these questions, and obviously with more interesting people than myself, they are great. I hope they grow on the internet, and you at some point get the biggest scientists on the planet, and you get to disarm them with like these Christopher Walken in person. I think there's huge potential here. Huge potential here.
I think that we're very fortunate. like a lot of things in this show, it's the combination of Benjamin and myself that produce this set of questions where we kind of like, we both have ideas for good science questions, we both have ideas for more comedic questions, and then mashing our opinions on both of those topics together in a prime number of questions is what I think produces this magic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Imagine if we get like Elon to do an impersonation of his favorite sci-fi actors. This is the dream. You know?
We'll see if we can get
say what you will about Elon. I think he'd be pretty cool with it.
Yeah,
I get the impression that's kind of his kind of humor.
But okay, so who's on your bucket list? I mean, obviously you've ticked off myself. which was probably up there when you started a podcast. But who's like a dream science guest?
I want an astronaut. There is an astronaut who knows of our show and he would like to be in our show, but I haven't squared it away yet. That's for me. I would
Cool.
love to have an astronaut.
Cool.
This is a tough question. I don't know. I mean, I think that like we were just aiming for you for so long, and now that we've gotten you on the show again, now for a second time, like we may as well quit, right?
Now's a long hike down from Everest. We're done.
Yeah, nowhere to go but down.
On my show, I would love to have Werner von Braun from the NASA, but I would do the entire thing in a German accent. Yeah,
I think that
Willkommen, Werner. Yeah, das talking ass.
I think that if we could include people who are no longer currently alive, I think Carl Sagan would be really fun, and I think I would do the entire interview in a Kermit the Frog accent.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah,
or just have
just how I would do it.
Kermit the Frog himself
as a guest host.
Yeah. Is Kermit like known for his scientific prowess?
That's for us to find out when he gets on the show.
No, I think this. We had a previous guest on the show, Rachel Rayner, the science explainer, and Rachel and I did a science comedy show for the Adelaide Fringe Festival a couple of years back, and I think it was after the show's after party. We were walking back to the accommodation, and she started doing an impression of Carl Sagan, in which she does incredibly well in a few of her shows, and then I just did the easiest impression for me to do, which is Kermit the Frog, and we just had this whole dialogue back and forth of Kermit interviewing Carl Sagan, and so I think that's why I make that association in my mind. But yeah, to the normal people listening, maybe they wouldn't like that. Maybe they would. I don't know. I think folks should let us know what if we had to do an impression for an entire episode, what we should do. Folks can let us know that.
We should do Swedish Chef all the way through.
Yeah. That would be good. Danny, thank you so much for giving us not just this hour of your time, but for having us on your show, the Talking Ass podcast, for the half hour preceding this show.
Yes.
Very, very generous with your time. Thank you.
This is the part 2, everybody.
Yeah, I'm just wondering which impersonation I actually do well that I could finish with. I do a really good Finnish rally driver. Do you know what that is?
I am ready.
Rally I don't know what it is.
Okay, rally is like if Formula 1 is on the track, then rally is like off the track, like actual terrain driving.
Oh, like regular rally, just finish.
Yeah, and per capita, Finland's been like extremely successful at driving in the woods, because when you live in the sticks in Finland, there is nothing else to do. So these, they learn at like age 8 to drive really fast in cars or whatever. And and I do a good one. I do a good. We had some problems with the tires, but the team was working very well, and I had a hangover and some other diseases, but we but we had a good fuel strategy. That's how they talk.
You sound like my late Hungarian grandfather. Very close to a Hungarian accent there. Yeah.
They say there's some kind of linguistic link between Finnish and Hungarian. I look forward to the next time we talk. I also look forward to listening to my own awful Christopher Walken impersonation and being cringed out by that. So this went well.
Amazing. Can you remind folks where they can find you and your wonderful show, The Talking Ass?
Well, in the link that is hopefully in this episode under there somewhere in the internet buttons. Find it Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Alexa. You can tell that creepy robot to play it as well in your house. Apple Podcast, all the podcast app, whatever. Find it there, but I don't do video. I'm audio at the moment, so you can be hands free while listening to my sultry voice. Recent topics include your boys here doing a bonus episode for the 1 year anniversary about an island. That was very interesting. And what else? We've had some defense journalism and robotics
The
and
guy about
burlesque
elephants.
dancing and all
That's a
kinds.
good one. The elephants one.
Elephants, yeah, I love that one. Yeah, we had an elephant rancher or whatever you'd call it, an elephant sanctuary keeper guy. He was great. Yeah. And thanks for your time, guys. I hope people actually had enough science in this time. Not just me talk.
Well, we had fun.
agree.
And Benjamin, remind folks where they can find you as well.
Please look for Science Actually on all the internet places. And if you'd like to watch us making the sounds that you heard us making, you can look for The Nerd and the Scientist on YouTube and on TikTok. And you can listen to us wherever your podcasts are available, which is kind of weird to say since you're doing that now. How about you, Kovi? Where is Kovi?
Folks can find me at Fun Fact Science on all the good and also the bad social media platforms. Mostly they're just talking about this show, maybe sharing some memes, sharing some other cool science stuff. Check us out there. Let us know what you think of the show, what additional topics or future guests you would like to see. And you will see us and hear us next time on the next episode of Science Actually Presents The Nerd and the Scientist. See ya.